Welcome, everyone, to another VR Master League interview. I am your host and caster, Trip, and I am joined tonight by Little Lion Man, Nuggy P, Waffle Nobbler from the team Raw Meat. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Great, Trip.
Oh,
don't sound too excited, man. God, that was...
Great to be here. Thank you for having us.
So tell me a little bit about your team. You guys just competed in the Onward Rookie Boot Camp tournament, spring tournament, and I was rooting for you. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, we really appreciate you kind of giving us a shout out in the beginning and throwing your support behind us. And unfortunately, we weren't able to live up to billings, but next year we're definitely going to come on strong. The team was really formed through a collection of just friends, families, and acquaintances through sort of the VR world. This is our first year in the Master League, and we're just getting kind of immersed in this whole world.
So how did you guys find VR, and how did you find Onward? I mean, what just fill me out. What's the progression there from never playing Onward, never having heard about it, to where you are now?
Yeah, so I think we're probably going to have to give Nuggy P sort of the credit for finding, the Oculus headsets and the VR world for our side of the equation. And maybe Nuggy can kind of give you a background of how he kind of stumbled into this world and brought me along with him. And then the interaction with Waffle Nobbler. I think Waffle Nobbler is a little bit more versed than we are, but I'll let them speak for themselves.
Happy to do that, Little Lion Man. Yeah, it's kind of a funny story because I think other than Waffle, the majority of the team really aren't gamers per se. All of this happened in the midst of COVID, where a friend sends me a set of goggles, says, "This is great, let's do it, let's connect in a world we can't physically see each other and maintain relationship." And it started that way. I feel like in May, it flourished. It ended up across a whole variety of non-milsim games. And then one day, kind of Googling for milsim, came across Onward. I think I was first to go in against AI and started spreading the word among the friends. And the crew came over to it. And, unfortunately, we didn't spend a lot of time in uplink per se. And that demonstrated itself in the tournament. I think we spent a lot of time against AI and Assault and other angles. So we weren't really well equipped to do uplink, where the scarcity of lives are everything. But look out for us next time. We've got great high hopes. I think Waffle has a different origin story to us, and I'll let him speak about that.
Yeah, mine's not quite as elaborate as y'all's. So I've been a gamer since was big enough to hold a controller in my hand. And I've always wanted to get involved in the VR world. Yeah, I never had a computer that was strong enough for it, or the room for it either. So, I mean, I've been military the last 10 years, and a lot of my stuff is either in hotel rooms or living in military barracks, where I've got a 10 by 5 box, that I live in. So VR doesn't quite fit in those dimensions. So when the Oculus Quest 2 came out and they're like, "Hey, you don't need a computer for this," I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get involved in this. So I picked that up back in November when it released. And me being who I am, Onward was the first game I downloaded. So I started playing that back in November. Almost exclusively was running co-op operations against AI. That's where I met Nuggy and Lion Man. And then I kind of got away from that. It just wasn't fulfilling. I hopped over into multiplayer, found out I was fairly decent at it, and then pretty much only exclusively played Escort. So the one life thing for me, I'm good to go with. But what I'm not used to is people camping, which is the number one thing you need to do in uplink. So for me, I'm a rusher. I run around the map. I run right up the middle. I'm really good at taking people out with quick shots in fast succession, but people hiding in buildings, looking through windows, around corners, I get caught all the time. So uplink is a little bit rough for me. Which all we need to do is, for us to play as a team when it's not a scrimmage or a tournament. Because so far, the only time we've actually came together as a team and really played was either practicing for the tournament, which was like 4 matches beforehand, or the one scrimmage we had yesterday. So, we need to, I think once we start learning each other's play styles and we start, actually running a lot as a team against just random players in a comp lobby, I think we'll be a lot better off next season.
Yeah, so how much time did you actually spend prepping for the tournament? I know we announced it. We gave teams like a month to prep. We put the announcement out, but then I didn't hear. Honestly, I didn't think that the tournament was going to be that big because I hadn't heard from a lot of teams up until like 5 days before, and they're like, "Hey, we have a roster. Can we get in on this?" And I didn't know those teams existed. So how early did you start practicing? What did you do to practice, and what were your expectations going into the rookie tournament?
Well, yeah, as far as practicing and getting ready for the tournament as a team, I think very little was done. I think we found out about the tournament. We just sort of sent emails back and forth saying, look, there's something coming up here. As we kind of explore this world, we've kind of, as Nuggy mentioned, you've kind of gone from the AI to the, multiplayer interactions, and we're just looking for a little bit more, and thought we would sort of throw our hat into the ring. What was really nice about it was a tournament designed for players who hadn't participated in the league before or come together. So the ability to participate was there. There's no sort of barriers. It wasn't like we were going up against some hot shots initially. Now, that didn't turn out to be the truth because I think we had some pretty good players show up in the tournament, but that was sort of the expectations. And it was really fun to kind of get everyone together and begin to learn more about this. I mean, you've been very kind in helping us, navigate sort of the VRML, setting up Discords, exploring this whole virtual world, which has been great.
So no competitive play before this. No pancake games. No original Xbox. Nothing. Just straight into VR.
For me, it was straight into VR. As Nuggy mentioned, I have kids who are in college and high school, so this was sort of a new world to me entirely, and it's been a lot of fun on a personal basis because now I can talk about Discord channels and Twitch and all the rest of these things, and it really kind of opens up another world, at least in relationship ways from different generations.
Yeah, and also I would add the lineman that, I think our last match was against a team from Spain. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and they're going out to tapas after. Where does that happen? Right?
Yeah.
It's insane how the tech works and how the servers can accomplish the same time experiences across the world through data centers. It's so neat. And obviously, Twitch is something you hear about, but for me, I didn't understand it until we experienced this tournament. And by the way, the idea of playing a tournament online for me, and again, this is me being an uninitiated guy, was so surreal. And I will say, when we dropped into Downfall and Uplink with one life to give, again, me an Assault guy, not an Uplink guy, I'm like, holy shit, it's on. I felt like I'd been drinking 10 cups of coffee before I made my first move. And of course, we were terrible in that first game, but really neat stuff.
Yeah, once you get that first hit of the adrenaline, you can't really you can't find that anywhere else. That's really what hooked me. I know when you get those caps under fire with multiple enemies still standing, and you get that cap, and then your hands are just like doing this when you're done. Yeah, it's always a good way to play.
Don't talk to me about caps. Don't talk to me about caps.
Yeah, I was going to say, were your hands shaking when you went for that one, or?
Which, by the way, so just so you know, like Waffle was so good with us because obviously highly uninitiated. Waffle in the military, kind of big idea sort of strategies. Even though he didn't have a lot of uplink experience, he had real life experience. So he was very good in providing direction with the limited time that we had as a team, I would say.
Yeah, so we talked about how much prep time you had and your experience and expectations going into the tournament, but I want to take a step back. What is your roster spread look like? age range. When everyone thinks about Quest players, they think new kids playing the game because obviously the Quest is cheap and easy to get your hands on, kind of like a console. But you guys aren't in the age demographic for that. So where do you guys lay on that line?
Yeah, and this is really interesting because when you ask that question, we know some of the team members in person and know their backgrounds. There's others that we really have not spent a lot of time with and have kind of collected through this experience. I think there's probably 3 of us who are probably in our mid 50s, and then some are probably much younger. I don't know. I don't know how old Waffle Nobbler is, and I don't know how Ches07 I think is a younger gentleman. Buglet 19 and Nunny 21. I don't know if they're that age or not, but I think they're much younger. So it's a really pretty respect.
I will tell you. I can tell you how old they are. They're all somewhere between 20 and 22 at this point. So they're young, but they're not 13, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about VR and Onward it bridges that gap. As long as everyone's working together, you don't care, right? As long as they do their part and you do your part, no one. It's a phenomenon. I don't know how to explain it, right? There's no we're not going to play with you because you're 13 and not good. There's plenty of great 13-year-old players. So it's really how well they can comport themselves. Well, I don't know. I'm the interviewer. I must know the big words, but it's yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you mentioned sort of the age gap. I mean, we had our first scrimmage last night, which was great. I mean, and learning how to scrimmage is a whole new experience for us, and reaching out and talking to folks, and learning how to, I guess, navigate this world. But there was one person on the other team, CJ Hub, I think is the name.
Oh man.
And I believe he's probably in his teens. But as a player, very mature and very willing to share and educate us on, how to play the game better. So it's nice.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that in the Onward community especially, we're much more helpful if you ask for help. Like, the people that, if you say, hey, where did you shoot me from? Or how did you get there? People will tell you. It's not like they keep secrets. They can't keep secrets. They're going to get casted at some point, and it's going to be visible. So the ones that tell you and are helpful are the ones you want to keep playing with. And I think most of the people are helpful if you just ask. And you got to ask correctly, right? You can't just, be like, oh man, that wasn't really cool, or what. You have to be respectful. But that's another thing with all the players that I've met so far, at least in Uplink. I don't play much of the other ones, but at least in Uplink, most of the players are pretty respectful.
And it's interesting that you mention that, because one of the dynamics that I've noticed, and this is kind of as the game kind of progresses, and here I am saying the game progresses. We've been involved in the whole 3 weeks maybe, but I've noticed that the league players and the Uplink folks are a little bit more respectful, as you say. I mean, some of those public tents, people get a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more agitated.
So, as a new player / team to the league, what is one change that you would actually like to see? Is there something that you think could be improved to get other new teams into the league? Or was it pretty, straightforward and smooth?
Well, as this is little line man talking, I mean, as you know, it was, I wouldn't say challenging, but just sort of getting the team set up and getting involved in all sort of the systems required took a little bit more effort than probably needed. And a lot of the explanation sometimes is self-explanatory to folks who know how to operate the systems. But I think that's just a learning process. The one thing that I thought was really fantastic about sort of the tournament and kind of getting involved, and you mentioned casting. I mean, that really was something that I thought was pretty special and unique. And it also enabled us to share it to a wider audience. I can't tell you how many friends have actually gone on to Twitch and watched those games. I mean, I think that was a great marketing tool, and expands sort of the viewer base. I mean, Nuggy, what do you think could be improved?
No, for sure. So the community, I think, of interested people probably, so if we are, 5 people playing, 7 people on a team, at least 40 people saw that who are unaffiliated with Quest currently, or obviously Onward.
Yeah,
But
and
now
I mean, I think that's a good point to bring up. And shout out to all the people that helped me set up and run that tournament, because the casters that stepped in, the scrim casters, were super helpful. That's the most well casted rookie boot camp tourney that we've had ever. I think we almost got every single match casted. Like, it was amazing. And that's a great thing to have, right? People are like, hey, this is what I did. And I love showing people my games. And they're like, wait, you're doing that in real life? Like, you're laying down? And you're like, yeah. And then they go and buy one or whatever. So recording and casting for the rookie teams is something we try and do. And it's especially something, me personally, that when we start the season, I try and pick up as many of the rookie games as possible. And then I try and go back about halfway through or towards the end before we get to the finals and watch those same teams. And you can see the progression as the season goes on. And then we'll pick them up again at the start of next season, and you'll see that they've gotten so much better from a season's worth of gameplay, because nothing prepares you for league matches. All right. As well as you think you're prepared. When I dropped into my first one, it was a complete shit show. So like, you just get over it, and you start and you learn and you move on. That's the way to play.
And Waffle was a big hit to my pride, because as an escort player, I average about 15 kills a game, and which is the same concept as Uplink. It's one life. So when you average 15 kills, and you can go into any escort lobby, and I guarantee you're going to find one player that knows my name in there. I just wreak havoc. And then I hop into Uplink, and I get waxed as soon as the game starts. I'm like, okay, all right, this is how this is going to go. And then the rest of the tournament, I just kept getting smacked by people. And I'm like, all right, so clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, it definitely is a hit to your pride,
Yeah, but as long as you learned from all those, right? You learned, oh, well, I can't go to that spot because I'm exposed. I can't go this way because I have to watch these windows, or and that's how you grow.
The biggest thing for me is learning the respawns, because, and I think the problem with Uplink is I think it's a bit randomized. Because at least in Escort, if you spawn in one spot in Escort, 100% diagonally to your location is where they spawn every single time, and it never changes.
Yeah.
But in Uplink, you spawn here, they're going to spawn here, here, or here, and you don't know where they are, and then that's the part that throws me off. So once I learn all those, things will be hopefully a little different.
Yeah, and obviously we found some maps online that shows those variable Marsoc spawns, and the various other spawns. So you can't, but it's nice not knowing exactly, because then you start playing a percentages game, and I prefer not knowing at some level. Order of magnitude, which direction it's going to be, but the uncertainty is interesting. Separately, I would say the one thing that the casters did, which is nice, is I know in these games we're getting crushed a couple times, right? But the casters were always like lifting us up. Oh, there's Nuggy P going around the corner, checking his monitors, seeing where his compatriots are at. Like, that's a critical skill. So wise of Nuggy P to doing that. But meanwhile, Nuggy P is totally out of the action. There's like 30 seconds to go, and he should not be where he is right then. But meanwhile, the caster is much more generous of spirit. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, the commentating was amazing. I pretty much watched every one of the casters. I didn't watch throughout all the different games from all the different teams, but I watched all the casters and all their commentating, and all of them were phenomenal. That was probably my favorite part, was just listening to them commentate, because it sounded like an actual football commentators, people actually talking. I was like, man, these guys must have been doing this all the time. And to find out they're just random YouTubers that were just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, So.
Yeah, they are doing a lot. Those scrimcasters are casting, I've seen 4 or 5 scrims a day from the same person. I'm like, how do you do that? That's a lot. But yeah, you guys are just lucky that I was on the analyst desk, because I'm apparently much harsher in my commentary, because I think people learn better from rewatching their game. And if people tell them, if I'm like, that's a terrible spot to go to, you'll remember that, right? If you rewatch that and you hear me go, that's a terrible idea, you'll remember that. So it's not necessarily that you're trying to bring down the teams, but some of the guys are much more uplifting than I am. But I think we're all pretty good about explaining what's happening regardless of the way the match is going. You could be way out of position and we can still make it work, right? And that's what they do. So that's why we have those scrimcasters, and they're hopefully going to become regular casters next season when they apply, as they all should. I'm looking at you, all of you. So what are you guys excited for? This is your first season. What are you looking forward to in season 11? Just getting your feet wet and playing? Like, what are your expectations? Do you want to be in the gold tier? Do you have ideas about who you want to play against? Do you have ideas about maps? Are you wanting to see custom maps in there, or are you just wanting to just play and learn and take it as it is?
I'd love to see custom maps. That'd be awesome. There's some awesome, especially the Call of Duty, like Rust and Shipment and all those that would be, I played a couple of those with co-op, and that was just nostalgic as all get out. I just brought back so many great memories.
Pretty good.
You bring those in tournament, and I think you're going to have a pretty solid lineup. So,
and then from my perspective, I mean, I think it'd just be great to get through a season. I mean, it's new for us, and we'd love to progress. And just see how we do against some of the real teams, you know.
Yeah, and
you are a real team.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, listen, Little Lineman does a great job as team captain, because obviously when you're trying to get a lot of moving, variables together for a weekly scrimmage or a match, there's a lot that has to get done. So captaining is a big deal in this league, and there's a lot of work I see him doing. And so I'm appreciative for that, but also appreciative for the rest of the league that all require a captain to get this done. So again, part of what he said is getting through a season, I think, is quite an accomplishment.
So I think we touched on this, but outside of VR, no games. No, this is it. You play Onward and only Onward.
For those two, sure. Me, I've been playing games since I was big enough to hold a controller. So,
all right. Well,
PlayStation 1 back in the mid '90s, and I've been playing ever since. So, yeah, that's
truth be told, I did get an Atari when I was a kid. One of those Pongs that played on. Remember those Pong games? So that was really my experience to video games. But recently, no.
I explained why it's so good.
Come on. Little Lineman, you made me blush there. Come on, man. Can't be giving this up.
So, okay. if you don't play video games, then give me your elevator pitch. Where'd your gamer tags come from? How did you come up with these names?
Nuggy, you want to go first?
No, I'll let you go. Little Lineman, you roll.
So basically, when I got involved in this, Nuggy P had a cool name, and I'm like, how'd you get Nuggy P? And he'll tell you how he got his Nuggy P. But I basically just went on to Google and typed in my name for the rapper name, and it popped up Little Lion Man. So I said, that's a cool name. So that's how it came about.
And he's not just Little Lion Man. He's VH Little Lion Man, which is also known as the Velvet Hammer Little Lion Man, and that's a story that we can't really talk about. But something.
I will be inquiring about this later. Just so y'all are aware.
Make sure I get this info afterwards. I need this.
Yeah.
I did not realize that's what VH stood for, and I now have questions.
And Nuggy, where do we get Nuggy from?
Yeah, I think Nuggy was a compilation of dog names, but that's all I'll say at this point.
And then we got the Nobbler, which I love.
My name, I sat down with two of my friends in a room one night, and we were trying to come up with the most funny name that we could come up with. And it was like, what can we put that will instantly put a smile on anyone's face when they see it, as soon as they read it? And I think we probably sat there for 3 hours just coming up with stupid stuff, laughing. And at the end of it, one of the guys had said, I think he said pancake gobbler. And I just was like, I just rhymed it. It was like waffle nobbler. And one of my other friends looked at me. He goes, that one right there. And I was like, okay. And I've had that gamer tag on every system, PC, Xbox, phone games, everything. It's exclusive. No one else in the world has it. And I think I've had that name now going on probably 8-9 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I came about.
Laughter to lobbies.
It's pretty much how I came about mine. My full gamer tag, if you don't know, is Triple Nipple. And it was basically the same thing. We were having a Halo LAN party and everyone needed their own account. And we just sat there brainstorming. And one of my friends actually had 3 nipples, but he already had a gamer tag. So I was like, well, that's mine now. Had it since I was 12.
Oh,
nice. Halo LAN party at 12.
Oh, yeah. The good old
Halo
days.
1?
Oh, yeah.
Halo
so do you
1
guys...
was actually the very first Xbox game I ever played.
It's a great game.
It's phenomenal. Still play it today.
So what do you guys do in your free time when you're not playing VR? What do you do professionally? What are your hobbies? Like, I mean, I know most people, obviously, they get into Onward and then they put 1,600 hours in the Onward and then they burn out and then they cast. Oh, wait, that's not how this goes. Never mind.
Speaking from experience there?
Nope. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I just living the suburban dream, just working and, raising kids. That's kind of what we do.
Are the kids old enough to play VR? Are we're gonna see a family team come out of that?
I don't know if mine will. I mean, they play a lot of Xbox, so it's a whole nother world, and this world has kind of allowed me to appreciate what they're doing more. I mean, for example, that guy Ninja. My son watches him all the time, and I used to say, "What are you doing?" But now that I've got involved in this world, I can appreciate the nuances of the games.
Well, I can 100% say from all the casters, if we made you appreciate Ninja, we are sincerely sorry. We failed at our jobs.
Yeah, no, and so for me, we're already seeing some of that, and we see, Buglet 19, Nunny 21. Those are children already who are college kids, who are related to me, and Chezo 7, friend of theirs as well. So again, like a lot of this stuff is the fun thing about this format is I feel like it's very accessible. And then when you get into MilSim, it's so strategic that if you were the best kid at an obscure game, it removes that edge and allows you to think more strategically in a way that life gives you an advantage, I think. And so, obviously the Lineman and I are a little bit older than Waffle, and obviously than the other players on our team. But I think in certain ways, like life experience gives us, we have practical, tactical problems, but I don't think we have strategic problems, I would say. And so that's a lot of fun. But, in today's society, people are everywhere. And the fact that we can connect online, in lobbies, talk about experiences together has been great. So we actually already have an interfamily team going on right now.
Well, that's great. I know some of the other teams in the Master League we've got a couple of teams that have brothers. We've got my team personally. We have Edna and Landon Jordan, who are married. We've got, and a lot of teams have met up. I mean, obviously the teams that used to go to LANs have met up, but I know Animal House went to Disney World with their team as a group. SMC has Vegas trips that they do as a group. And a lot of people, if they live close, like I've met other players. I've spent weekends at other players' houses, just going up and hanging out, and then we end up playing VR or playing Onward. So it's fun. It's a very tight knit community. So yeah, I'm glad that there's more people coming in that have that relationship already built. It's good. It's good for the teams.
And and Trip, I would say that on the gender thing is obviously we have 2 players in our team who are women. They're stone cold killers. And, even it's not all of them could play in the tournament, but, anyone who's played in a lobby with them has seen it. And so again, probably I don't know what percentage of lobbies or guys, it's probably well over 90%. But anyone who's been with Nunny 21 or Buglet 19 has seen the bad side of their rifles a lot, and so it's kind of fun. Yeah,
Well,
Waffle's pointing himself at.
don't let the Colettos
I've
hear
been on
about
the
that.
receiving end a few times.
If the Colettos, which was a female team starting out, it's now not a female team, but yeah, they had some of the best killers in Onward. Edna is probably, if you ask anybody, she's probably one of the best killers in Onward, and she's a little 5-foot ninja. So you'll know when you get killed by her. She will shoot you in the ankles. It's really annoying. So do you guys have a full roster? Are you 8 men strong or 8 players strong, or are you looking for some new players? And do you want to do a plug for that player you're looking for if you are?
No, right now
7 right now, right?
We actually have 8. We have 8. Yeah, we have 8, which is good. We had one person sort of fill out, and I think what's going to happen is we're probably going to have to rotate some out because as we grow and they have obligations. I don't know if we'll keep them through the whole season, but right now I think we're at 8, which is great.
All right, and that is it from us at the interview desk, which is different than the casting desk or the casting couch. But that is us. That is it for us at the VR Master League interview. I'm your host, Trip, and these are my guests, Little Lion Man, Nuggy P, and Waffle Nobbler from Raw Meat. And we will see you next time.